A grand function party turns into a nightmare. The grand ballroom of the Royal Orchid Hotel was dazzling with golden chandeliers, elegant floral arrangements, and hundreds of elite guests dressed in their finest attire. It was one of the most extravagant parties of the year, attended by billionaires, celebrities, and business tycoons. But for Isabella Knight, this night was turning into her worst nightmare. She stood in the center of the room, wearing a breathtaking silver gown, her long, wavy hair cascading over her shoulders. Her beauty was undeniable, but tonight, her face reflected nothing but heartbreak. The man she had loved with all her heart, Daniel Carter, was standing before her, holding a glass of champagne, his expression cold and indifferent. "Ladies and gentlemen," Daniel's voice echoed through the microphone, drawing everyone's attention. "I have an announcement to make." A hush fell over the room. Isabella's heart pounded. She already knew what was coming, yet she prayed she was wrong. Daniel turned toward her, his blue eyes devoid of emotion. "Isabella and I are getting a divorce." Gasps filled the ballroom. Murmurs spread like wildfire. Isabella felt her world shatter. Her hands trembled, and she clenched them into fists, refusing to show weakness. This was the man she had loved, sacrificed everything for, and he was throwing her away like she meant nothing. "Daniel," she whispered, her voice breaking. "Why are you doing this?" Daniel smirked, tilting his head. "Isn't it obvious, Isabella? I need a wife who matches my status." "You," he paused, glancing at her with mild amusement. "You're nothing but an ordinary girl with no wealth, no power. You were a mistake." The crowd gasped again. People exchanged shocked glances. Isabella swallowed hard, struggling to breathe. How could he be so cruel? "You're nothing but an ordinary girl with no wealth, no power. You were a mistake." The crowd gasped again. People exchanged shocked glances. Isabella swallowed hard, struggling to breathe. How could he be so cruel? Her best friend, Sophia, rushed forward, grabbing her hand. "I say, let's leave. You don't have to listen to this." But before Isabella could move, another voice cut through the tension. "Wait." A tall, commanding figure stepped forward from the shadows. Alexander Sinclair. The crowd parted as he walked toward Isabella. He was dressed in an all-black designer suit, his sharp features unreadable. His presence alone was enough to make people go silent. Everyone knew him, a billionaire, one of the most powerful men in the world. Who invited him? Daniel muttered under his breath, clearly annoyed. Alexander stopped right in front of Isabella and turned toward Daniel. "You're making a grave mistake," he said, his voice calm yet laced with authority. Daniel scoffed. "And why would you care?" A smirk played on Alexander's lips. "Because Isabella is not just any ordinary girl." Silence. The entire room held its breath. Alexander turned to Isabella and gently took her hand in his. His grip was firm yet comforting. "You deserve to know the truth, Isabella." Isabella blinked in confusion. "The truth?" Alexander exhaled, then looked directly at Daniel. "You think she's a nobody?" He chuckled darkly. "Let me enlighten you, Carter." He took a step forward, his aura intimidating. "Isabella Knight is the only daughter of William Knight, the richest man in the world." The room erupted in gasps. Daniel's face paled. What?" Alexander continued, his voice deadly calm. "She is not just rich. She is the sole heir of an empire worth trillions." He smirked. "And you, Daniel, just threw away the most powerful woman in this room." Daniel staggered back, his mind spinning. Isabella stared at Alexander, her heart racing. How did he know? How did he find out about her identity when she had kept it hidden for so long? She never told Daniel the truth because she wanted him to love her for who she was, not for her wealth. But now, her secret was out. Alexander squeezed her hand gently and turned toward the stunned audience. "Ladies and gentlemen," he announced, "this function was never just a simple party." A chilling pause. "This entire event was orchestrated by me to reveal the truth and claim the woman who deserves better." Everyone gasped in shock. Alexander turned to Isabella, his dark eyes intense. "Marry me." The room fell silent. Daniel's fists clenched. His jaw tightened. He had just lost the biggest opportunity of his life. Isabella, still in shock, parted her lips. But before she could say a word, the lights suddenly went out. Darkness. A scream. And then, gunshots. To be continued. Who fired the gunshots? Was it an attack on Isabella? Will she accept Alexander's proposal? And will Daniel try to win her back now that he knows the truth? Stay tuned for part 2.